So I'd like to ask you, Brad Hansen, what is the biggest risk?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think, there's a couple of them. Number one, and I've mentioned a few of these. Number one, I think you have to be really careful um, trying to do too much too quickly, right? It's like anything, the more experience you get, the better you'll be at it, knowledge. So I always say, hey, walk before you run, right? Um, and make sure that you're not, if you're going to buy an investment property, do it in an area that you know. Um, do it do it in such a way that you're going to minimize the risks, right? Have professionals help you, right? You know the value of the home. You're not overpaying. It's going to cash flow, those kind of things. So, one of the risks is that you have a home that has a negative cash flow, right? Let's say you overpay, and rates are high right now, right? So your payment's going to be relatively high. But let's say you have a payment that's $3,500, but you can only rent it for $3,000. Well, now all of a sudden you've got a $500 a month negative cash flow. Again, knowing what you're getting into and not just, it can be, as you said, it could be a little bit kind of glamorized a little bit, right? That's a lot of hard work. Are you gonna hire a property management company? Are you going to manage yourself? Are you going to hire a handyman to help take care of repairs? Those kind of things, because stuff goes out, right? Are you going to set aside money for maintenance? So there's a lot that goes into it. I would say, that's a risk, but it can be mitigated by educating yourself, surrounding yourself with professionals. So walk before you run is another one. The other risk potentially is home values might go down, right? Now, while we don't necessarily think the environment's similar to what happened in 2008, where we saw 25 to 30% declines because of the oversupply and a lot of the other things that were happening with the home financing wasn't great. We don't think that's the same environment we have. If you overpay, you could see values go down, but I think that can be mitigated to a degree by what we talked about earlier. If you're going to buy it, don't expect that it's going to give you the return on investment that you want in just the first year or two. Might take multiple years for that. So like anything, it is a risk. It's money that can be lost. But honestly, I think the biggest risk is that negative cash flow, maybe buying a property. Again, I always recommend that you get a really thorough inspection. You found a property that had, that you didn't do an inspection, and you ended up having to put a new roof in, or you had other issues, right? So like again, I'm not insurance. There are things that insurance can protect you from, but insurance can't necessarily protect you from buying a home that is in disrepair and needs a lot of work, right? So those are probably the biggest risks that I see, and there's ways to mitigate those and be prepared for them. But yeah, those are probably two of the biggest ones I've seen.